The World Ends With You is a masterpiece. It's a wonderfully written game dripping with so much character, it's drenched. Using the limited capabilities of the DS, Square Enix was able to create such a unique visual style that was so unmatched they just modified it for the 3D sequel on the Switch. Normally that would never be the case. Most companies would make a completely new visual style for a 3D game, but they didn't do that for this. It's unforgettably cool, but that's not what I love the most about The World Ends With You. No, I love the story and the characters. Specifically, how the story molds the characters, and none more so than Neku Sakuraba. I mean it with every fiber of my being that he is, without a shadow of a doubt, the greatest protagonist in video games. There's a myriad of fantastic characters throughout both games, but Neku outshines everyone. He is the perfect person to follow through the wild and wacky ride that is the Reaper's game. Death games have often been about finding out people's secrets and what makes them tick. The World Ends With You takes that and pushes it further. It asks the player, both in and out of the game, to improve from who they were the day before. And Neku really needs it. The reason I think he's so great is because of where he ends up compared to where he started. I'll be spoiling both The World Ends With You and Neo in this video, so please continue with caution. And honestly, if you haven't played them, I would say play the games first. They're really, really good. Okay, look, week 1, day 1 Neku is awful. There's no other way to put it. I played the game when I was around his age, and even as a brooding teenager, I thought he was a bit much. Neku thinks he's too good for people, and that there's no need for them. Even when Shiki literally saves his life with the pack, Neku still treats her like garbage. And huge props to Shiki for getting on Neku's case about sticking together. If not for her, he would never realize how powerful he is. The discovery of Neku's pin expertise comes from Shiki having him test them. You'd think that would be cause enough for Neku to ease up a bit, but no. When Shiki, Beat, and Rhyme meet for the first time just to talk, Neku drives the others away. He doesn't even need to talk. He could just shut up, but he chooses to be a jerk for no reason. What's worse is it's not just a facade. He's so incredibly gullible that when Uzuki tells Neku that killing Shiki will let him escape, he almost does. The guy who's adamant about not trusting strangers listens to a Reaper at the drop of a hat. And it's for murder! Thankfully, our beautiful Catman comes to the rescue. Hanakoma stops Neku, and after a stern lesson, the player starts changing ever so slightly. The next time Shiki offers to work with Beat and Rhyme, Neku agrees. Begrudgingly, sure, but hey, it's something. And it's because he opens up a little that he actually learns about his partner. Neku listens to Shiki's ambitions even though they irritate him. But the changes come too fast and are too much. When Rhyme dies, Neku withdraws even further than before. Seeing someone he was starting to consider a friend die is too much. It's too painful. And Shiki misunderstands his silent pain as a lack of care. Understandably, Neku is pissed about it and blows up. Even when Shiki apologizes, there's an awkwardness between them. Worse than when they'd just met because they had started to bond. It takes a lot of opening up and sharing for them to move towards friendship. Though Neku would deny that's what it is, the fact that he comforts Shiki and supports her dreams proves he cares for her as a friend. It's because of that trust that he's willing to work with her and try to save Beat on the final day. And when she offers for him to revive, he kindly tells her no, he'll go again and meet with her later. When he first says that is when I realized I'd begun to like Neku. It happened without me realizing it. This brooding jerk had grown as a person and grown on me. That's why it legitimately hurt to see him in anguish over Shiki being taken as his new entry fee. But I was so proud to see that he didn't hesitate this time. He didn't withdraw emotionally. No, when Neku lands in week 2, he lands on his feet and he lands running. He rushes to Scramble Crossing ready to fight. And then he meets his second partner. And though Neku hates Joshua's attitude, it's something he can look past to survive the week. Except when it's matched with Sho Minamimoto's entire personality. Quick aside, I love Minamimoto as much as anyone in the Twii community, but you have to admit he'd be absolutely horrendous to know in real life. The math talk, the I am very smart attitude, the piles of trash, you just want to punch him in the face the moment he entered a room. And Neku clearly feels the same way, but he obviously can't do anything about it because it's against the rules of the game, and he just wants to clear it. And unfortunately, Joshua doesn't care nearly as much as his partner. Even when it's something silly like Tin Pin Slammer, Neku tries his hardest. Hell, on the third day, Neku is so driven, he doesn't even look at who sends the mission and rushes to Cat Street because Joshua says that's where the mission is. The only thing that makes it remotely okay is that Hanakoma is there to provide assistance and an upgrade. And there's one huge part of this event that I think is incredibly important to show us Neku's growth. It's when he fights Beat. The player-turned-Reaper drops Rhyme's necklace, and old Neku would have just left it. He wouldn't care, it's just trash on the floor. But now, Neku picks it up, and eventually he returns it to Beat, not to gain favor or anything, but because he considers Beat a friend, and that necklace is important to Beat, and Neku understands that. And this self-control extends to his personal life too. See, when Neku entered the Reaper's game, he had amnesia, and though he got most of his memories back at the end of week 1, he still couldn't remember how he died. That is, until he randomly scans and reads Joshua's mind. And wouldn't you know it, the smartass is also a killer, and when confronted, he mocks Neku's need for information. So Neku leaves it until he can gather more. During this time, Neku also meets Sota and Mao, 2 minor characters and players in the Reaper's game. And I wouldn't mention them except they have considerable impact on Neku. When they eventually get erased, Neku is enraged. He's begun to value people and empathize with the plights of those around him, even if they're strangers, no matter how close or far they may be from him. On the final day of week 2, the game is finally back on and Neku and Joshua confront Minamimoto. It's during that time that Neku discovers the truth. Minamimoto killed him. Joshua was trying to save him even when he was alive, just like he did on day 1 of week 2. It's so obvious! Joshua's a prick, not a killer. Hell, he throws Neku off the building at the end of the fight to save him from Minamimoto's final attack. Unfortunately, due to the fact Joshua was never a real player, he actually dies. And week 2 is null and void. But now the fire in Neku's belly is even stronger. He has to still save Shiki, and now every other player that's part of his entry fee. And now he has to also avenge Joshua. Unfortunately, week 3 starts rougher than any of the others. And in comes Best Boy to save Neku's butt. B isn't going to let the Reapers rig the game, so he denounces his position as a Reaper and makes a pact with his friend. He's back on the side of the players. This is the first time we see the true Neku, who he was meant to be, serious but friendly, scared but willing to push through fear to succeed, and most of all doubtful, and he always carries that doubt like a weight, but all his friends are there to assuage them. The other reason I love this week is that it takes a different approach than all the others. Every day isn't its own game. The whole week is a game of hide and seek, so we get to see a lot more character moments between Neku, B, and the few remaining characters in the roster. And it's especially noticeable how different everyone is as the background characters become the same. All of Shibuya's residents begin to look and act the same. They think the same thing. They're unoriginal zombies that are part of a hive mind, and oddly, defeating the week's game master doesn't change anything. Thankfully, Shiki comes back, but the city is still brainwashed. The conductor of the Reaper's game, Kitaniji, a man blessed with drip, decides no one else deserves it. Everyone else should just be the same to keep everything safe, which is insane. And of course, Neku disagrees with him. 3 weeks of being forced to grow made him realize that clashing with people is good. Positive growth and change comes from discussion and challenges. Even the people who are closest to you have differing opinions, and learning from them makes us better. And Neku knows that now. So he fights for everyone's right to be themselves. And with the help of all his friends, including Joshua, who somehow comes back for this fight, they defeat Kitaniji. Following the battle, Neku is flooded with the first clear memories of his death. Joshua did save Neku, and then he killed him. That cheeky little bastard! And so he challenges Neku. Joshua's been the composer this whole time. He's been hiding everything he's done, but he's the one who put Neku in this game to see if the player would willingly save the city. They stand off for the fate of Shibuya, and when the city he loves is in the balance, Neku still can't pull the trigger. Because deep down he trusts Joshua and cares for him as a friend. There's no way he could shoot someone who saved his life. Though, again, Joshua did kill him, but I think he'd saved Neku more often, so it counts. So, Joshua does it again. He shoots his chosen player. But nothing's erased. Neku comes back to life. He gets to be with his friends, and the other players are all back. They get to meet up and live a normal life. 3 weeks of hardship and introspection created a Neku who can take off his headphones and listen to the world around him. He's willing to express himself and fight for others, because he now has people who do the same for him. The brat I hated at the beginning of the game became a caring and surprisingly charismatic friend. Not to mention, he's a powerhouse. I didn't mention this earlier in the video, but Neku alone has access to over 300 pins with various abilities. It's ridiculous. Overall, he has an array of powers that's nearly unmatched in most media. Not to mention some of the powers are from Reapers themselves. He's literally stronger than many psychics and mages in other games. And that also stems from him opening up to others and taking in the world around him. His power is directly correlated to his connections. He can literally wipe out monsters with a single swipe of his hand because of the friends he's made. He literally embodies the power of friendship. Not to mention, he can canonically handle utilizing any number of abilities at the same time as long as he's equipped with the pin. So he's not limited to a single attack or a single form of combat at any moment. Neku is the definition of versatile in combat. But his peaceful days are short-lived when a rogue reaper, Coco, pulls everyone back into the fray. But with his growth, Neku notices that something's out of the ordinary. Everyone other than Beat is acting strangely because everyone didn't actually get pulled into this Reaper's game. Just Neku and Beat. And with assistance from Hanakoma, they win the day in short order and return home. But before they can get together with their friends, Neku gets killed again. And I can't help but kind of laugh because boy gets killed a lot. But they try to really sell that it's for real this time. I don't think anyone really believed Neku was dead though, not after everything he'd been through. Now, I'm not going to get too into the story of Neo the World Ends With You, but there will be spoilers. Because Neku has considerable impact on the world after 3 years. He's now the legendary player. His abilities are talked about by the Reapers in awe. They fear what his presence can do to the game. So much so that they chase the wrong person for a week and a half, thinking it's Neku. And though Beat isn't the legendary player, he's a beast and holds his own easily. And he has one of the best scenes ever. I often will go back and watch him rip off his mask and say, "It's Beat, yo. I knew it was him. I called it." And it's still so cool. The only thing Beat can't handle fighting on his own is a rabid Minamimoto, and yet he still tries. And in what seems to be his final moments, Neku arrives. And I still feel chills thinking about it. The light behind our hero, holding out his hand to help a friend, divine intervention saved him from Koko's gun, and now he's back to close out another Twisted Reapers game. And shockingly, Koko's his friend now, because much like Neku, she just wanted to save her allies in Shinjuku, and obviously, Neku can relate, and using his godly powers and all the connections he has, Neku is able to help all of Shibuya. As much as I believe his inclusion took away from Rindo's position as leader of the Wicked Twisters, I also believe Neku is the reason Rindo was able to win in the end. The legendary player is the perfect mentor to a brooding teenager, since he was one himself. And at the end of it all, Joshua does our boy a favor and sends him back to the real ground to be with his friends. Neku actually gets a happy ending, at least until we get another game and the legendary player needs to return. Hopefully they keep him as the powerhouse he is now though, because it would suck to nerf him. And I want him to keep all his friends too, new and old. We could all take a note from the brooding teen turned reliable mentor. Being open to the challenges of the world betters us. We'll get hurt along the way, but getting back up improves us. Though to be fair, Neku has a literal guardian angel, so a little luck probably helps. What I'm trying to say is, I love The World Ends With You. I will always love The World Ends With You. I grew up with the game, and it helped make me who I am. But what I really love is that it has a protagonist that is unmatched. No other video game protagonist has ever, and will ever personally, come close to being as great as Neku Sakuraba. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves, and remember to drink your juice boxes.